Congressman, we certainly know you can hear from your constituents during good times. You're hearing a lot more from them during harder times. What's the overriding message your office is getting? We just finished 10 town halls, which are just a great way to communicate with those you work for. And number one question is, are we mortgaging America's future? Are we going so deep in debt as a nation that our kids and grandkids will never be able to dig out of it? And the second one is, are we going to get the economy moving? And in a way, they're both tied together. Yeah. Are we mortgaging our future? Yeah, we are. Some people call it intergenerational theft. You know, one generation is taking from another. The debt we're piling on is going to be a huge burden for our young people. Not just, and they're probably going to see higher taxes, higher interest rates, and fewer job opportunities. So when they start their lives, finishing college, getting the workforce, there'll be fewer jobs to get, and they'll keep less of their paychecks. So yeah, it's a real problem. Yeah. It didn't happen just overnight, but all of a sudden the floor was yanked out from underneath us. Did anybody see it coming? Yes, I think it's really accelerated in the last number of years. We've added $5.5 trillion in debt just the last 4 years, a huge amount. We're now at a record level of debt, and people have been warning about this. It accelerated dramatically, but the good news is I think now the country is wide awake about the issue and really determined that we will act on it. All right. You're on the subcommittee for Social Security, and so we have a number of people who want to ask questions of you. And our first question is from Susan.
How do you see the future of Social Security?
It's such an important program, but it's showing its age. We are already today, because we have fewer workers and 10,000 seniors a day sign up for Social Security in America, we're actually borrowing money from other countries to pay Social Security today. If we let that continue, it won't be around for the next generation. So the goal has to be preserve Social Security for every generation once and for all. Not just for a few years, once and for all. And there's some great ideas on how we can do that.
Well, when you're looking at debt like that, how do you do that? How can you protect that money? And we say there's some great ideas for how to do that. What are some of those great ideas?
Well, one, if we want to keep Social Security the way it is, where young people today pay for their parents and their grandparents, we have to do two things.
I just know I'm paying.
Absolutely,
and I want to make sure when I get there I have a little something to come back.
And my mom is glad I do. But to preserve it for the next generation, we have to, over the next 3 decades, slowly raise the age of retirement to about 70. So a worker who's 20 today will be at that point. And secondly, we adjust the benefits to the cost of living, accurate cost of living. Those two things really preserve Social Security. But there's also other ideas that I like, which is to let young workers the option of putting some of that money into a retirement account. So it's not a virtual account that they don't own, which is what it is today, but a real account with real money in it. So when they get ready to retire, they don't come to Uncle Sam. They go to their financial advisor with their own account.
Yeah, and basically just take more ownership of our own future.
It is really critical. One, we need a savings generation. We need people to be able to save themselves. But Social Security is so critical. So many Americans, half of all Americans who are retired, that's their only money. So every dollar matters for seniors.
All right, Melissa has this question.
My question actually is regarding the future of medicine. With all of the Obamacare and everything that's been happening, our medical community is a little bit nervous. And I'm wondering what you think the future of the medical economy is.
And of course, we know that Houston has the largest medical center in the world.
This is a great question for our region because so much of our economy, and we're the world leaders in medicine. The answer is we face a very uncertain future. It is because this is a huge new change in the way we deliver health care in America. It's going to change the doctor-patient relationship. It's going to take a lot of our medical institutions who are performing beautifully and sort of put one leg where they are today, and then they have to step another leg in some future government-oriented program. So I think it's going to create uncertainty. I think it's going to drive up the cost of government subsidized medicine. And my worry is companies are going to drop insurance and put their workers into government care. All of that is probably, I think, the wrong direction.
Okay. Pete has a question that I think a lot of people have, and it speaks to how can we bring jobs back home to America.
When I was younger, it seems though everything was made here in the United States, but today everything seems to be made overseas. Is there any way that we can bring these jobs back to America?
Absolutely, and here's how. The rest of the world has sort of taken a playbook from America of low taxes, high-skilled workers, and just reasonable regulation, and they're beating us in that game. That's why so many jobs are going overseas. But we can recapture them if we will take our tax code, which is so complicated and so high, and become competitive again. If we just have balanced regulation and we welcome these companies back, one, we're going to bring them back. And two, most Americans, most Texans, most of my family doesn't know America still is the largest manufacturing nation in the world by a big amount. But we don't manufacture the low-end items, plastic toys, you know, even TV sets.
Yeah.
We produce medical equipment, high-value aeronautics. And so we, in fact, what's interesting is a product that took 1,000 workers to manufacture in 1950 now takes about 184. Technology has changed all that. But that works to America's benefit if we have a great business climate.
Yeah, but when you're unemployed and you're saying I'll do anything, you want those jobs to come back home. And as part of that goes back to our own greed. We want it cheaper. We want it cheaper, 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 and we can't produce it all the time cheaper right here in America.
We can't, but it's interesting. Other countries, their wages are starting to go up. America's so productive. An American worker is 9 times more productive than a Chinese worker. We produce more with less technology and less workers. So that makes a real opportunity for us as we increase our productivity to bring those jobs back to the United States. I will tell you, a lot of people think this is China's century. I think it's America's century. I think we're going to recover from this economy if we do it right and be the strongest economy in the world for 100 years.
In closing, if you could pick any president from history to help us out right now, who would it be?
President Reagan, without a doubt, because it's so similar. Right now we have a country that's struggling, starting to lose its confidence, wondering if it's going to compete around the world, and sort of, you know, on the down side right now. Reagan basically said, look, we're capable of more. He shrunk the size of government, and as he did it carefully, and as he did it, jobs along Main Street grew. He gave confidence back to small businesses. I think that's what we need exactly. That's the recipe. Those are the principles I think we need right now.
All right. Congressman, thank you very much for taking time to address us.
Deborah, thank you for having me.